Welcome back to the Trucking Risk and Insurance Podcast. I'm your host, Chris Harris, aka the Safety Dawg. Joining me today, as always, is my co-host, Johnny Farquhar. When we talk about managing risks and controlling costs in the transportation and logistics sectors, we often look at the immediate things, right? Those right in front of us, like drivers and trucks and insurance premiums. But the landscape is shifting rapidly. Artificial intelligence and digital information transformations are no longer just future buzzwords. They are actively reshaping how operations, supply chains, and procurement work today. The real challenge for fleets is knowing where to start, how to cut through the hype, and how to get real value out of these technologies without losing that human element. To help us untangle all of this, we are thrilled to welcome two global experts from EFESO, the EFESO Management and Consultants. First up, we have Kenneth Sievers, a partner in EFESO who leads their global procurement practice and brings 25 years of consulting expertise to the table. And joining him from France is Laurent Coulon, a senior partner with 35 years of experience helping companies transform their operations, navigate digital supply chains, and use generative AI to make frontline decisions safer and more reliable.
Welcome to the Trucking Risk and Insurance Podcast.
Gentlemen, welcome to the show. Kenneth, why don't you start things off for the audience and tell us a little bit about yourself?
Yeah, sure. Thanks, Chris, for having me. My name is Kenneth Sievers, partner at EFESO Management Consultants, with a focus on procurement and supply chain management, also leading our global practice on procurement. 25 years in consulting business, and looking forward for the discussion today.
Well, thanks for joining us. Laurent,
Yeah.
you're up.
Thank you for having me too, Chris. My name is Laurent Coulon. I'm senior partner at EFESO Management Consultant, and I'm a father of four based in France, as you can hear from my accent. And my work is focused on helping organizations to make safer, more resilient, and more efficient decisions in their operation. And so I spend 35 years helping companies transform their operation, especially procurement, supply chain, digital transformation in sector very close to trucking and logistics. So a big part of my work is using data, new technologies like generative AI to make operations not only more efficient, but also safer and more reliable to the people on the front line. That's me.
Well, see, and we're talking about EFESO. Kenneth, do you want to tackle that? What the heck is EFESO?
Yeah, sure, of course. So EFESO is a management consulting company. We are a leading global pure player in operations strategy and performance improvement. We are operating with more than 1,000 consultants in over 40 countries around the world. We are offering a service portfolio which we call end-to-end, along the value chain and the value creation process. And as we are convinced that nowadays, when you advise, you have to think the things end to end. That's why we bring capabilities and expertise from sales, supply chain management, procurement, manufacturing, R&D, cost engineering. We bring it all to the table to achieve the best results for our clients. And procurement is, of course, one of our core competences here. As procurement is usually in industrial companies the biggest cost-saving lever that is available. Yeah, so and that's why we are also advising our clients here. But cost saving is not the only topic that is driving our clients, especially the CPOs. In the last years, another topic has arisen. This is all around digitalization and AI. And that's also, where the people are asking themselves, are we ready for the future? Do we have to change the operating model? And how can we benefit and leverage digitalization and AI? So this is also a big topic that we tackle within procurement.
Yeah, and I really believe AI is going to have a huge effect on everyone's future. And some companies are going to adapt to it and others may struggle. How does EFESO, just because I'm fascinated with AI, how can you help a trucking organization or a logistics company with the future?
Well, I mean, we support our clients here in different directions. Yeah, um, many companies are currently asking themselves where to start with and how to tackle it. What are good use cases which are mature enough to also scale it into the organization? We always recommend here to start off with a either with a kind of target picture generation on where they want to take the organization on the digital roadmap, um, or to start, and this is also very often the discussion, to start with selected Gen AI use cases, for example. And as this topic is very interesting for almost every company, every CPO, we have also introduced or launched our annual survey on Gen AI in procurement, which we call our annual Pulse report. And here it shows, and this is what we see when it comes to AI, that there is a or the 26 is actually marking a phase of more prioritization. In the past, companies, tried to inject AI everywhere. Yeah. Now it's more about focusing and prioritization. Companies have learned what has worked and what has not worked, and they are more selective in what to pick. And we are supporting them here as a neutral advisor on what are the right cases to pick, what generates the biggest impact, and how to scale it into the organization.
There, one of the things I should have asked earlier, EFESO, where do you work? Where do you offer your services?
We
Well,
first of all, we work around the world. As I said, we are in more than 40 countries, but we usually work at the client side. Of course, since Corona, there's some more around home office and office days, but usually we work at our clients.
Right.
And this is also something that we focus on. We are very much implementation driven, and implementation always goes in a collaboration mode in the best way. Yeah, so that's why we collaborate with our clients together in order to achieve the best results, and that
And,
requires an on-site support as well, of course.
and just
yeah,
to be clear, you do a lot of work in North America.
Absolutely. I mean, when you look at the 40 countries, 1,000 consultants, we have, of course, some bigger spots that we support. The North American market, especially the US market, is a focus market for us, as well as Europe is.
Yeah.
So we have even our own legal entities in the US, and it's a strategic market for us.
Right. Go ahead, Laurent.
yeah. To complement what Kenneth says, we have 30 offices with 45 different nationalities worldwide. So let's say the US is 1/3 of our footprint. We also have huge footprint in Europe, where we come from, but also in Asia. So what we do is something very specific. We help international customers. We help all the logistics supply chains. We help all the people that are in those areas to conduct product. Last year we conducted in more than 75 different countries our projects. So when we say we are working on the ground with our clients, it's true. So that's why we are a bit specific. We are not purely on one market. We are really a global company. So in the US, we are in New York, Chicago. We're also in South America, in Europe, all the classical EU country, in all the Saudi and all the Asia part too.
And not to
Right.
forget the Detroit area and Houston.
Yeah.
So all over
Yeah,
the
and
place.
Houston, of course.
Well, you're talking
And
to,
maybe as a side note, when we look at the sold days we do about 2/3 of our days are implementation projects. So that sets us also a little bit apart from the classic strategic consulting companies, as we are really in implementation, or a lot of our time.
So, what would a logistics company reach out to you for help with?
Well, the four main parts. One is to reduce risks, to control costs, to improve reliability, and whereas for safety managers, fleet leaders, insurers, our way with this kind of study is to make them understand how it can be a tangible enabler within their daily work. And we are focused more on daily operations, and as we know that there's a lot of AI stuff around the place, but there's only few that are successfully scale it and embed it into daily decision. And it's where the type of audience you have can benefit from that type of research, for example.
And this is a more and more important topic, everything around digitalization and the right operating model for it. As with AI, you can rethink your processes, especially in procurement, which has always the most interfaces within a company. It's very often driven by manual work, getting all the right data together. And this is where, with digital and AI support, or where we can support our clients in, optimizing these processes and rethinking them even.
John, you've been quiet today.
I have. Yeah, this is an interesting topic. Yeah, exactly. I'm working with a colleague who's developing an AI model for small operators to kind of just take and measure their existing operations to their policies. But what's really funny in the clients that I've been visiting lately, most people their extent of AI is Chat GPT. And they're just dumbfounded when you start talking about, well, it can do this and this and this. You can tell it to do this. You can work with people to develop the program to do this and this. And as the one colleague I'm working with goes, there's no coding anymore. AI does all the coding. You don't have to figure this out. This is so easy and simple. You don't have to be that big programmer that does all the whatnot. But I guess one of the challenges that I see is trying to get those smaller operations, whether they be in logistics, transportation, or whatever, to get them past the mindset of the old mom and pop thought process of paper and pen. Oh, this works for me. I'm happy to do this. I'm okay. Yeah, but efficiency, you're losing so much in efficiencies and your redundancies and creating more work for yourself when AI can do so much more. So I guess my question would be, how do you convince the smaller folks this is the way to go? How do you get them past their fears of, I'm not sure I can manage this. I don't know how to deal with this.
Well, Laurent, you want, or should I?
Yeah, no, I can. So it's really simple. Gain time and gain more money. That's it.
Yep.
If you can gain time and you can demonstrate a measurable ROI, you're a winning company, whatever the size of your company is. So you clearly have to select not only test ChatGPT, Claude, or other type of generic AI, unless you know what you want to do with that. It's not only the answer. The answer is just the reflection of your questions. And your questions, it's not different from existing transformational projects. So you need to have good data. You need to understand what type of question you need to ask. The way you ask is, it's techniques, but it's not that complicated. And it's more where it impacts the most gains, time gain, cost gain. And that's it. So unless you can demonstrate that it can enable you to free up time or money, it's bullshit. So you're playing with a game, with a video game, with a nice video game that can answer whatever question is, but it's not that efficient. So demonstrate value first.
But just to add on that, I think you're mentioning one of the most critical points here when it comes to digital and AI. That's the people. AI is not necessarily replacing them. Yeah, it's from our point of view more a hybrid model where AI is supporting the people, and they need to see a real benefit in it. If you
Mm-hmm.
if you
Mm-hmm.
if they don't see it, and if you don't take them onto the journey, because at the end it's a journey. It's not a big bang when you talk about AI.
Right.
It's
Right.
not just there and then everything is better. You have to take the people onto the journey, and that's the most critical point. I think organizational readiness matters more than technology at the moment, because AI technology is there and it works. It's really
Mm-hmm.
about taking the people onto the journey in trusting. Trust is a big topic here.
Yep.
Trusting all
Yep.
the results and getting a benefit out of it. Whenever I say to a client, when we bring in a new tool, the old tools must be cut off or eliminated. If the organization is not eliminating them, then the new tool doesn't bring the right benefit.
Right. Right.
It's
Makes
always the
sense.
risk that you just bring additional tools and then they are not getting used.
Right. Right.
So
I know
your
in my
focus on people is really important. Yeah.
Yep. Yeah. In the company that I'm working for right now, we've been going through an AI transition, and they've been talking about how all the producers and brokers can utilize this for sales and opportunities, help their customers and whatnot. And one of the things that was really interesting was they brought up it's all in how you ask ChatGPT, Copilot, Claude, whatever. It's all in how you ask. So one of the things that they've helped provide is some prompts. So what I'm curious about from a small entity, a small little company and whatnot, who's not sure what to ask, is AI smart enough that I could ask it the most stupidest question and say, "Can you build me a prompt to give me the answer to what I'm looking for here that I don't know how to ask?"
It's exactly that. You ask the ChatGPT look like wants to ask what type of prompt, but by learning, you learning by doing. But at the same
Right.
time, never forget that the tokens are really expensive those days. So the real ROI is not just only gaining, let's say, cost reductions, productivity. Productivity is really key, but it's where AI sits within human tasks. So not all the human tasks has to be replaced. Why? Not only because AI is not trained or prompt adequately, but also but the cost of a human is less expensive than AI or multiple of agents, whatever the size of a company is. And when you're talking about tokens for AI, it's costly. So never forget that you can test and learn, but the more specific you are, the better you are. So it's, as always, when you have a project, just cut it in small parts, focus on the parts that are the most painful, the most time consuming, or the less, or the more complex one, and you gain more ROI. So not try to have the full questions that
Right.
answer 100% of your problem. Just cut the problem into some parts and ask AI on the specific parts. You'll be more efficient with that.
Excellent information, because I know a lot of small operations, they're quick to just go, "How do I fix my whole problems?" Right? And it's not that. I like what you're saying. Be specific, work on it in little bites and pieces.
Well, how can EFESO help me implement that journey? Because if I was a logistics owner, for example, and I've got 100 staff doing whatever they do, how can you assist to implement AI for a cost benefit?
Well,
Go,
Yeah. So there's a clear gap today between large company and small company, of course,
right?
because the large companies are more likely to use Gen AI regularly, whereas small and mid-sized organizations, it's more when they are struggling, where it's painful, and they try to have immediate solutions. So they have no long time to think about this. One of our benefits, we have done that several times in different size companies. So where bigger groups normally typically dedicated budgets, data teams, and structured AI program within processes, smaller operators often rely on individual experimentations, and it's where we are more coaching the people about the tasks more than training them on the art of prompt. We are training them or which task make relevant to be AI generated and not human generated. So in sector like trucking, that matters because the industry is full of mid-sized and smaller fleets. And so it's where you need to have targeted adoptions and not large adoptions. And it's where the sense of the future is going to. So whatever the size of the company is, you're going to have AI in 3 to 5 years' time. For sure.
Yeah.
And maybe to add on that, we also bring our own AI capabilities. So we have a separate team on that, which supports in, for example, prompting or developing customized solutions. We also have use cases that we have built on our own, which we are even using in our projects. Just for example, a negotiation preparation agent. Yeah. Saves so much time. I mean, if you ask people what is the most important thing in procurement, almost everybody says it's about negotiation. And then if you ask the second question on how much time you spend on negotiation preparation, the answers are getting really thin. It's really small time because people are just, full with other stuff. And as we have negotiations in our projects as well for our clients, we have developed a negotiation preparation agent, a 7-step automated workflow on AI using a certain platform for it, where we can prepare, if the data is available, of course, within 7 minutes, so to say, a whole negotiation preparation, getting a playbook at the end with, negotiation target and so on. That is helpful at the end of the day. And such use cases we have off the shelf, and then we can inject them into the company. Of course, it's about then the software, the licenses and tokens and so on. But this is also how we can support with what we have created for ourselves and the capabilities we have in-house. And we also have a bigger ecosystem partner network where we are bringing in point solution providers, which are also focusing on AI and digitalization in general, depending on the specific problem.
See, and I see that negotiation preparation as being a huge factor in achieving the goals that the company wants.
Sure. It's a huge lever because, as I said, very often preparation time is very short, if there at all, because it takes a lot of time to grab all these information and to process them and analyze, and then setting up a real storybook for the story for the negotiation with what are the opening terms, what is my least acceptable agreement, and so on and so forth. What could be arguments and counter arguments? This is what an AI agent can already do today and prepare. Of course, you always have to check and you have to train the agent, of course. But I mean, as I said earlier, it's a journey. You're starting with such things and then, developing them over time, making them better.
See, and I find that fascinating because I can see me walking into a negotiation knowing the person's name on the other side, and that would be about it.
Yeah, that's why you do the podcast, Chris.
That's exactly where I help you gaining more professional way of doing things. Not only just arriving at the negotiation meeting without any preparation or small or poor preparation, you can generalize a better way of be prepared for that negotiation. But don't forget that not only on the source to contract part, but also on the procure to pay part, all the painful tasks, all the contract reviews, all the claim documentations, all the tasks that are really administrative when you have to be paid with some invoices. It's where the workflow can be automated and where AI can save you time. And at the same time, it enable you to reduce the risk because it's automated 100% of the invoice that need to be claimed, for example, at one point. So you are sure to be exhaustive and not only focusing on the classical Pareto one. I'm focusing on the more interesting one or the bigger ones, and I'm forgetting the small ones because I don't have time, or it costs me too much to regain the money. So the investment that you make upfront need to have impact on your daily life. It's where you target the adoption of AI and not trying to be generic.
Yeah. And this is what we for sure see in smaller and medium-sized companies, where the focus is maybe not so on strategic procurement, for example, where you find more operational purchasing departments. That's where the manual efforts are usually quite high, and where you can, bring in AI and digitalization with greater benefits and time releases for people.
All right. As we're getting close to the end of this, what else do we need to know about EFESO? What haven't we talked about yet? Laurent, go ahead.
Yeah, I think we are moving right now from, let's say, innovation. Everybody now knows OpenAI and all the big ones on the market, to the more traditional hype curve of operational performance level. And it's where, when you have procurement, whatever the size of the company is, how you adopt it and how it's going to be in your day-to-day operation. Don't forget that there's a next hype that is coming about robotics that can help you also a lot on painful tasks, so physical tasks. For AI, it's more mental tasks. So all the administrative tasks, all the recurrent and most money interesting task. So we help to do the loop smaller and more focused. And for trucking and insurance, the real opportunity is not to replace people, but equipping them with better information and better tool to make safer and more competitive decisions. That's it.
That's pretty simple. Kenneth, what would you add?
Well, looking at digital AI, I think, as I said earlier, I think the organizational readiness is much, or matters much more than the technology at the moment. Getting the organization there and the people, taking them onto the journey, rethinking the workflows, cross-functional, and getting the basics right on data foundation, for example. Yeah, data reliability is very important. And then we see, as Laurent said, more as maybe an operating model here, a hybrid human and AI workflows, where AI and humans are working together. You need the guardrails on data protection, data compliance, and such. And don't forget about building up the skill for the people. Yeah, skill building is really important. And my recommendation would be, to maybe prioritize 3 to 5 use cases, with a high confidence that you can probably scale. Then invest in the data foundation and the governance model, build your internal Gen AI literacy, and then design the new workflows, and not just go for tools. That's my recommendation here. And everything else, I would say, look at efeso.com. There's much more to see and to read.
Well, and our viewers can reach out to you as well and get more information about EFESO.
Absolutely.
Right?
Anytime.
Yeah. Kenneth and Laurent, thanks so much for coming on to the show. It was extremely interesting. So you're looking, last question, who's your ideal client? Who would like to take that one on, Kenneth or Laurent?
I would say there's not the ideal client. We are working cross-industry, all the different kinds of process industry, as well as discrete manufacturing, commercial vehicles, trucking, automotive, industrial goods, but also chemicals, pharma, and so on, from small companies to large companies. So there's not the client, I would say. It's turnover should be maybe something turnover higher than 100 or 200 million. That's I think where our target starts. Yeah, but that doesn't mean that we are not supporting smaller clients.
All right, Laurent, anything to add?
Well, probably the ideal client for me is somebody that is smart, that is gentle, that is happy to move for the future. And it's already a great step that to have somebody that wants really to move and not only to have buzzwords or buzz adoption of Gen AI stuff, just to do like others. So somebody that is, whatever the size is, of course, and whatever the sector is, somebody that want to really change the way they work, because we need to change the way they work. That's it.
Well, what I'm hearing is a forward thinker that's open to change. Like, because you two could guide us.
Yeah, no, and
Yep.
there's no specific size, there's no specific education needed. It's somebody that wants to change, somebody that wants to have change.
That's the prerequisite. Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Well, guys, thanks very much. Your contact info or the contact info for EFESO is in the show notes down below. So I encourage our viewers to reach out and get more information from you. Thanks so much for coming on to the show. Wow, what a deep dive into the future of operations. A huge thank you I have to give to Kenneth Sievers and Laurent Coulon from EFESO, EFESO, for sharing how AI and smart procurement can truly move the needle for trucking and logistics companies. It's clear that whether you are managing a mid-sized fleet or a large organization, the journey starts with being a forward thinker open to change. If you want to learn more about how they reduce risk, control costs, and improve reliability, head over to efeso.com or check out the contact information in the show notes down below. That's it for this week's episode at the Trucking Risk and Insurance Podcast. I'm Chris Harris, Safety Dawg. Thanks for tuning in, and we'll catch you on the next one. Stay safe out there.